The boy steps outside, breathes in the fresh air, and joyfully runs across the green grass. Suddenly, he begins to choke, collapses to the ground, and his face and hands break out in red welts. He screams in agony as his skin burns unbearably, but it turns out to be a terrifying nightmare. The boy wakes up inside a plastic tent that isolates him from the outside world. His mother, Rose, checks on Eli's condition and reassures him that this will all be over soon and he will recover. Eli goes through his morning routine, dresses himself, and then pulls on a protective suit, taping the sleeves tightly to ensure not a single particle of outside air can seep through. Meanwhile, his father, Paul, settles the bill for their stay at the hotel. As the family steps outside, neighbors mock Eli and throw a firecracker at his feet. He falls, tearing the suit at his knee. Rose quickly tapes up the hole, but Eli's face flushes red, and he begins to struggle for breath. His mother soothes him as he silently wishes for Dr. Horn to fix him. Soon the family arrives at an old mansion, the site of Dr. Horn's medical center. A voice from a speaker greets them at the entrance. Dr. Horn announces that all visitors must enter through a disinfection chamber. Eli is asked to go first. The boy steps forward, and after the procedure, doors open to reveal Dr. Horn and her two assistants waiting to greet him warmly. Dr. Horn welcomes Eli and suggests he remove his protective suit, but the boy hesitates, afraid. She leads him to a room explaining the treatment along the way. It involves 3 stages aimed at correcting his overactive immune system, which produces harmful immunoglobulins. This can be remedied using a coded virus. Horn, who has worked on this problem for 25 years, assures him she has treated many patients. She also warns him not to go into the old wing, which is sealed off by airtight doors. Eli finally enters the room that will be his home for a while. Dr. Horn shows him the completely filtered water in the shower. For the first time, Eli can safely remove his suit and embrace his parents. He takes a shower, enjoying luxuries he's never experienced before. Later, as Eli lies in bed, he hears strange noises. He moves to the window, which is fogged up as if someone had breathed on it. Suddenly, a child's handprint appears on the glass. Terrified, Eli runs to his parents' room. In the morning, Eli recounts the incident to Dr. Horn, but she explains that such experiences are side effects of immunosuppressants, sometimes causing hallucinations. She reassures him that this is normal. She takes Eli to his first treatment session. Though he is very frightened, the process begins. They weigh him, change his clothes, and take photographs. Then they strap him to a table and set up equipment around his head. Eli shares that his symptoms began about 4 years ago and have steadily worsened. Dr. Horn explains that his body is fighting itself. In healthy individuals, antibodies are produced in the bone marrow, but his gene for this process is damaged. She plans to introduce a special virus into his bone marrow to reset the system. The procedure begins, and Eli experiences excruciating pain. His body burns and feels like it's being broken apart. He begs to be released, but Dr. Horn insists everything is going as planned. Eli struggles to break free, but the restraints hold him tight. Suddenly, Eli wakes up in his bed. He removes the IV and walks to the window, breathing on it and leaving his handprint. Looking outside, he spots a girl who gestures for him to come out. Eli hurries downstairs, and they talk through the glass. The boy shares that his mother had a difficult pregnancy and delivery, which later affected his health. The girl introduces herself as Haley and says she lives nearby. Eli admits he loves magic tricks and shows her one of his favorites. Haley, in turn, promises to show him something even better. She claims she can set a branch on fire with her mind, and to his amazement, she performs the trick. Then she confesses that she's afraid of the house because something terrifying is happening inside. Moreover, she doesn't like Dr. Horn, and the feeling seems mutual. Haley leaves, and Eli begins wandering around the house. Suddenly, he senses someone's presence in the darkness. The next moment, a figure of a girl in white lunges at him. Terrified, Eli falls, and his father appears before him. Paul tells him to go back to bed, but Eli demands to know where the girl he just saw has gone. His father doesn't understand what he's talking about. Later during breakfast, Rose says a prayer, giving thanks for finding Dr. Horn. She explains to Eli that she too is afraid of unfamiliar places. Eventually, Eli calms down and begins to eat. Later, he finds a description of the trick Haley showed him, but suddenly he sees the cabinet doors open on their own, and the sound of someone else breathing fills the room. He approaches the window, breathes on it, and writes his name. Suddenly, another word appears next to it: lie. The boy backs away from the window, turns to the mirror, and sees another figure reflected in it, but in the room itself, no one is visible. Suddenly, a girl emerges from behind the door and grabs him. Eli falls, screaming and struggling in her grip, but it turns out to be Paul trying to calm his son. Rose rushes in as well, and together they manage to bring Eli back to his senses. Later, Dr. Horn explains that the medication is causing these episodes. Rose asks to lower the dosage, but Dr. Horn insists it will only get worse and urges them to continue the treatment. The next day, Eli undergoes another procedure. His body burns again. He screams in pain as the doctor assures him that everything is going as expected while she drills into his head. Later, Dr. Horn explains to his parents that Eli's body will initially reject the new stem cells, just like any transplant. She asks them to let him rest. During lunch, Eli angrily declares that the treatment is only making him worse. His parents try to reassure him, saying this is how the medication works, but he doesn't believe them and begs to be taken home. Paul reminds him that staying means the chance to get better, and Eli reluctantly gives in. Later, he sees Haley under the window, but it's too late for him to go outside. Suddenly, strange sounds come from the shower. He goes to investigate and finds the water running and the mirrors fogged up. Eli turns off the water and wipes the mirror, but the lights go out, and another figure appears in the reflection. Terrified, Eli runs back to his room as the figure begins chasing him. He scrambles to open the locked doors and eventually hides in the wardrobe. However, something pushes the wardrobe over, forcing Eli to crawl out. To his shock, he finds the entire wardrobe covered with the word lie. At that moment, his parents and Dr. Horn burst into the room. Later, they try to figure out why Eli knocked over the wardrobe, although he insists he didn't do it. Frustrated that no one believes him, Eli runs to his room. Haley visits again, and Eli sneaks out to see her. He tells her everything he has experienced. He talks about seeing ghosts, but no one believes him. To his surprise, Haley confirms his story. She tells him about a boy named Perry who lived there before Eli and also spoke of ghosts. However, after Perry's third procedure, she never saw him again. She advises Eli to run away, but he knows he can't survive without his protective suit. Suddenly, Eli hears noises in the hallway. Someone grabs him and drags him across the floor to the transition chamber near the door. He struggles and screams, begging to be let go. He is shoved into the chamber, and the inner doors to the house close while the outer doors leading outside begin to open. Eli desperately tries to protect himself from the outside air. Dr. Horn finds him and urges him to breathe. Hearing his cries, Eli's parents rush to the scene. Dr. Horn accuses him of trying to escape, but Eli insists that it was the ghost who opened the door. He calls out Perry's name, which visibly unsettles the doctor. Eli accuses her of lying. Rose tries to calm her son, but Eli flails his arms and smashes a glass frame on the wall. Seeing his own blood, he faints. Eli wakes up in his bed, hearing Dr. Horn announce that the final procedure will take place today. Rose volunteers to give Eli his medication and heads to his room. Eli says he's not crazy, and Rose admits she doesn't think so either. She believes he saw something, but doesn't think it was real, explaining that the medications heavily affect his mind. She reassures him of her love, and Eli begins to calm down. Suddenly, he notices the word lie hasn't disappeared. Instead, flipped upside down, it reads 317. Eli spits out the pills. Meanwhile, Dr. Horn is burning something in her office. At dawn, Eli hears a pebble tapping against his window. It's Haley. He rushes to the window but slips and falls, as though something is trying to hold him back. Nevertheless, he makes it downstairs and starts asking Haley questions about Perry because he no longer understands the ghost's intentions. Were they trying to kill him or help him? To prove his point, Eli writes the word lie, showing its reversed meaning. Haley is impressed, intrigued by the mystery. Eli suspects it's the code for the door to Dr. Horn's office, where she hides her secrets. That night, Eli sets out to uncover the truth. Entering the code 317, he opens the doors to the sealed wing of the building. He sneaks into Dr. Horn's office and finds records of previous patients. Meanwhile, Rose, unable to sleep, asks Paul what Dr. Horn told him when she left to check on Eli. Reluctantly, Paul confesses that Horn warned them to prepare for any outcome, even the boy's death. Rose declares they're leaving, but Paul reminds her that everything is her fault. As their argument escalates, Dr. Horn is awakened by their shouting and hurries to intervene. At the same time, Eli hears a voice calling to him from the safe. He opens it and discovers files of deceased patients. There are many. He realizes that Dr. Horn has never cured anyone. Dr. Horn confronts Rose at the front door, urging her not to leave. She insists that love cannot shield Eli from his illness and that staying gives him a chance to survive. Meanwhile, Eli runs to his father, pleading for them to leave immediately, as no patient has survived the third procedure. Unexpectedly, Paul reminds Eli how much they love him, embraces him, and injects him with a sedative. Nurses enter and drag Eli to the operating room. Eli screams and struggles, but outside, a car suddenly bursts into flames. As everyone's attention shifts to the fire, Eli breaks free and runs to Dr. Horn's office. However, the files in the safe are gone. He yells that the ghosts of former patients were trying to save him because the real villain is Dr. Horn. He locks himself inside. Examining a photo of Dr. Horn in a nurse's uniform, Eli notices a mosquito and follows it to discover a hidden passage leading to an underground room filled with religious artifacts. As he enters, gates slam shut behind him, trapping him while his parents look on from outside. Eli begins to suffocate, but Dr. Horn tells Rose and Paul to leave because Eli now knows everything. Eli loses consciousness due to an allergic reaction. When he awakens, he finds he can breathe normally. He realizes he was never sick and calls out to his mother, begging her to let him out. Overwhelmed with guilt, Rose approaches him. She apologizes for fabricating his illness to protect him from the world, insisting no one meant him harm and that it was all her fault. She opens the gate, but Eli knocks her unconscious with a crucifix and escapes. Dr. Horn and Paul chase after him as Eli pounds on a window where Haley stands outside, screaming that they are trying to kill him. Rose discovers a hidden compartment in the operating room and uncovers the bodies of children who died there, bound and adorned with religious symbols. She bursts into the room, taking Dr. Horn hostage and accusing her of planning to kill Eli. Horn insists she was trying to save him, though he has gone too far. Paul promises to help Rose and takes the knife from her, only to hand it back to Horn, urging her to save Eli's soul. He restrains Rose while Dr. Horn dons religious vestments and pleads with Eli to understand. She explains that he is not at fault, but his illness stems from within. Sprinkling him with holy water causes Eli immense pain as she recites prayers to exorcise the evil forces within him. Horn prepares to stab the restrained boy with a ceremonial dagger, but Eli telekinetically stops the weapon, forcing her to stab herself instead. He breaks free of his restraints, screams, and throws everyone across the room. Then he levitates Dr. Horn's assistants, turns them upside down, and sets them ablaze. Demanding answers, Eli confronts his mother. She tearfully admits that she desperately wanted a child, and when God didn't answer her prayers, turned to Satan. His allergy was a lie. His parents forced him to inhale holy air and swallow capsules containing the root of Tanis to maintain the appearance of illness and suppress his demonic powers. Paul attempts to stab Eli, but the boy telekinetically smashes his father's face. Rose begs for forgiveness, and Eli calms down. As he walks through the house, flames erupt beneath his feet, engulfing the walls. Eli and Rose leave the burning house. Outside, they are greeted by Haley, who reveals herself to be another child of Satan. She tells Eli that he is stronger than his half-siblings and promises to take him to their father. She orders Rose to drive, and the group departs, leaving the burning house behind. The film is a gripping and atmospheric drama with elements of horror that crafts an intriguing narrative from the outset and builds to a truly unexpected finale.